Welcome back to Bookworm. Today's book is about something many people mistake for kindness because from the outside it looks like care. You show up, you help, you anticipate what others need before they ask. You keep things running smoothly, and yet inside you feel tired, resentful, or strangely invisible. Codependent No More helped me understand that caring can quietly turn into self-erasure, especially when love has been tied to usefulness. This book isn't saying that helping is wrong or that empathy is a problem. It's asking a deeper question. What happens when your sense of worth comes from being needed? Many people who relate to this book learned early that harmony depended on them. They became the emotional stabilizer, the fixer, the one who didn't cause trouble. Over time, that role becomes identity. As adults, these people often struggle to rest without guilt. They feel uneasy when they say no. They worry that choosing themselves will disappoint or abandon others. If you've ever felt responsible for other people's emotions, outcomes, or stability, this book may feel uncomfortably accurate. As you watch this video, I don't want you to diagnose your relationships or judge your past. Just notice where this pattern shows up. Before we continue, if you value calm, honest conversations about emotional patterns and self worth, please like the video, subscribe to Bookworm, and share your thoughts in the comments. It truly helps this channel grow. All right, let's move into the ideas behind Codependent No More and explore how caring too much can slowly cost you yourself.
So let's talk about something that I think a lot of us have heard about, but maybe we haven't looked at it in quite this way before. We're going to dive into codependency, but I want you to just set aside everything you think you know about that word. Forget the labels, forget the judgment. Instead, I want you to think of it as a map. A survival map you drew for yourself a long, long time ago, just to get through some pretty tough territory. This is all about understanding the why behind the things we do, without any of the blame.
This quote, wow, it just gets right to the absolute heart of it, doesn't it? Let's just sit with that for a second. Hoping to become indispensable instead. That phrase says it all. It's this deep, emotional logic that kicks in when you feel like you're not enough on your own. It's a strategy, really. The thinking goes, okay, if I can't be loved for just being me, maybe I can be needed for everything I do. And you have to see, that's not weakness. That is a really profound and very human attempt to create connection and just feel safe in the world.
So, what does this actually look like in real life? Let's break this down. An extreme external focus on others. Okay, imagine you're holding a bunch of spotlights. It's like you point every single one of them away from yourself, lighting up everyone else's stage, right? But what happens to you? You're left standing in the dark. And that leads to the next part, little self-awareness. Of course, because the lights are never on you, you start to forget what you even look like, what you need, what you feel. And all of that leads to this deep confusion about what you can actually control and what you can't.
First things first, let's just talk about that word codependent. For so many people, that word just feels heavy, you know? It can feel like someone's calling you needy or weak. And that's not helpful, and it's definitely not what we're here to do. To really get what's going on, we have to look right past the label and get to the mechanics underneath it all.
And this right here really shows you the problem. You know, there was a time when the word codependency was a huge relief for people. It finally gave them a name for a kind of pain they couldn't explain. But somewhere along the way, the meaning got all twisted up. It became this shameful label. And that stigma? That's exactly why we need to go deeper. It's time to stop worrying about the label and start understanding where these patterns actually come from.
Okay, so this right here, this is the most important idea we are going to cover today. I really want you to start thinking about these patterns not as who you are, but as a brilliant strategy. A map that a much younger version of you created to navigate and survive the world as you knew it back then.
And let me just be as clear as I possibly can about this. These patterns are not personality flaws. They are not a sign that you are broken or that something is wrong with you.
They are survival behaviors. Let's just say that again because this changes everything. They are survival behaviors. This one idea is the key. It unlocks a much kinder, a much more compassionate way of understanding ourselves. These things you do, these patterns, they served a really important purpose at one time.
So what is a survival behavior exactly? Well, it's the incredibly smart, creative way a child adapts to a situation that feels way too big to handle. You know, when your world feels unpredictable or maybe even a little scary, you learn fast. You figure out what you need to do to feel safe, to get some affection, or even just to keep the peace. Back then, these behaviors didn't just make sense, they were brilliant. They worked.
This is such a powerful image because it shows us exactly how that map gets drawn. Let's actually trace one of these paths together, nice and slow. Take a look at that second row. It starts with an original incident. A father leaves home. Okay, so for a small child, what are the feelings that come up? Abandonment, sadness, this deep feeling of being unlovable. And over time, those feelings can harden into a belief. I'm not lovable. I have to earn love, otherwise people are going to leave me. Now fast forward to today. What's the behavior? It's a pattern of trying to control other people, of giving too much, all driven by that same old fear of being abandoned. You see that straight line, right? A thing happens in the past, it creates a belief, and that belief is still driving our behavior today. That's the survival map.
So that survival map was absolutely essential. It got you through some hard times. But what happens when you're an adult and you're still using that old, faded map to get around in a totally new world? What happens when the very strategies that once kept you safe start holding you back? Well, it turns out that relying on these old patterns comes with a pretty high price.
Man, this is such a deep insight. The very strategy that once protected you can become its own kind of prison. The behaviors you learn to feel safe, maybe it's always saying yes or trying to manage every little detail, they start to trap you. They limit your choices and they just drain your joy. And the crazy thing is, you're not even reacting to an outside threat anymore. You're trapped by the pattern inside of you.
And these hidden costs, they are so real. You can feel them in your body, in your mind. First, there's just the sheer exhaustion, right, from pouring every ounce of your energy outward. Then that quiet, simmering resentment starts to build up because you give and you give and you give, but your own well is just running dry. There's that constant, buzzing anxiety from trying to manage everyone and everything. After a while, you can actually lose touch with yourself. You forget what you even like or what you need. Trying to just have fun or relax, it feels impossible because you can never, ever let your guard down. And while you're so busy taking care of everyone else, your own responsibilities, your own life can start to fall apart.
This just captures that feeling perfectly. It's not just about being tired. It's about being completely disoriented. Spins them around in circles until they're dizzy. That's it. When you are constantly focused on trying to manage everything outside of yourself, you lose your own internal compass. That feeling of dizziness, of not even knowing which way is up, that's a huge part of this whole experience.
So, what's the way out of the spinning? Well, the turning point isn't about trying harder or being a better person. It's actually about a huge shift in how you see things. It's about finally understanding the profound difference between caring about someone and trying to control them.
And that's a fair question, isn't it? If we know, logically, that we can't really control another person's choices, why does letting go feel so incredibly terrifying? Well, it's because for years, maybe decades, that attempt to control was your safety net. It was the only tool you had in your toolbox. So letting go feels like taking your hands off the steering wheel when you're going 70 miles an hour. It feels completely counterintuitive. And yeah, it's really scary at first.
This slide just lays out the two paths so clearly. On one side, you've got the illusion of control. Its focus is on changing other people. And the results? Exhaustion and resentment. It keeps you totally trapped. But on the other side, you have the power of detachment. And let's be really, really clear about something. Detachment is not the same as not caring. It's not indifference. It's about shifting your focus from trying to fix them to taking care of you. And that leads to serenity, to freedom. And here's the amazing part. The moment you stop trying to manage their life, you give them the space and the dignity to finally face it themselves. You free them, but you also free yourself. And that is the ultimate truth of this whole thing. Think about it. That person, that situation, that outcome you are trying so desperately to control, it's actually what's controlling you. It's running your life. It dictates your moods, your thoughts, your every move. The second you finally let go, the moment you admit you're powerless over it, you are the one who is set free. Okay, so this brings us to the most hopeful part of this whole conversation. Once we can see that old map for what it truly is, a survival guide from our past, we get the power to draw a new one. We can actually start to rewrite our own story.
But let's be really realistic and gentle with ourselves here.
These patterns are grooved in deep. We've been practicing them for a very long time. Healing isn't a quick fix. It's not a weekend workshop. It's much more like a spiritual pilgrimage, a long, slow, steady journey of just coming home to yourself, one step at a time.
So what does that journey actually look like? Well, it starts with awareness, which is everything we've talked about today. It's finally seeing these patterns not as who you are, but as what you did to survive. The next step is acceptance, that radical, brave act of letting go of the illusion that you can control other people. And from there, you can finally move into action. And that means the small daily practices of turning that spotlight back onto yourself, learning to care for your own needs, and setting healthy boundaries.
And that's really the empowering truth at the center of all this. For so long, it probably felt like other people were holding the key to your happiness. But the big discovery is that you've had the key in your own pocket the entire time. Freedom doesn't come from changing them. It comes from unlocking your own cage. So we'll end with this question, just something to take with you. All of that energy, all that time and effort and worry that has been poured into trying to control things you simply can't, what if you took all of that back? What if you turned all that energy inward? What true strengths, what essential powers, what real sense of yourself might be in there just waiting to be discovered? Now that is the journey from surviving to truly thriving.
Welcome back. If this book resonated with you, it's likely because it described roles rather than memories. Being the strong one, the responsible one, the one who keeps things together. One of the most important things Codependent No More makes clear is that overgiving doesn't come from weakness. It comes from adaptation. At some point, being needed felt safer than being seen. And so you learn to stay busy, attentive, and helpful, even when it costs you. Letting go of that role can feel frightening. Because if you're not needed, who are you? This book isn't asking you to stop caring or to withdraw from relationships. It's asking you to return care to yourself. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're clarity. And choosing yourself isn't abandonment, it's honesty. If this video helped you see your patterns with more compassion and less shame, please like the video and subscribe to Bookworm. And if you feel comfortable, I'd love to hear in the comments, where do you feel the most pressure to hold things together? Thank you for being here and giving yourself permission to reflect. Take what resonated, leave what didn't, and move gently forward. I'll see you in the next one.